just let me know your thoughts on Jake going 6 rounds with AJ.
You know, the fact that he did that, it was good.
Lennox Lewis saw this disaster brewing from miles away. And when the lights went up in Miami, his gut feeling became a devastating reality. This fight wasn't some influencer sideshow anymore. It turned into a masterclass on what happens when social media stardom collides with legitimate heavyweight destruction. The entire world was asking if Jake Paul's rebellious attitude could withstand the crushing force of a former undisputed king. But Lennox Lewis was sitting there with that knowing smirk of someone who already had all the answers. When everything was over in round 6, the outcome wasn't just obvious, it was painted in crimson. This wasn't some shocking turn of events, it was the complete demolition of a content creator who finally found his limit.
Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul. What do you think when I heard about the fight? I said, they're gonna actually fight? I didn't believe it. But what we gotta do is say, Jake Paul really bit off a lot this time. He's serious, he wants to go up against a true heavyweight, and that's Anthony Joshua. So, he's up against a heavyweight. How is he gonna adopt? How is he gonna feel? How is he gonna fight when he gets in there? I don't see him fighting. I see him looking to survive in the fight. He's gonna feel the uppercut. He's gonna feel the jab. He's gonna feel the right hand. How's he gonna react? I don't know. We're gonna have to see how he's gonna react.
Lennox Lewis couldn't wrap his head around this matchup when it first got announced. The heavyweight legend was speaking his mind right from day one, saying he was stunned that Jake Paul would dare climb into the ring with someone of AJ's caliber. Lewis kept it brutally honest, describing Joshua as a Formula One machine while calling Jake something you'd drive to the grocery store. His prediction was simple. The moment AJ's devastating power found its mark, Jake would transform from a competitor into someone desperately clinging to consciousness. Lewis was convinced the problem child had finally overestimated his own abilities. The former champion's analysis of when it all collapsed is every bit as savage as the finishing blow that ended it.
My mom wanted me not to fight Anthony Joshua. I should have listened to my mom. My dad pushed me to this. Now I'm alone in the hospital. Got to eat liquid now. Anthony Joshua be.
Everyone kept talking about Joshua's enormous 15-month break from competition heading into fight night. People were screaming about ring rust, and during those opening rounds, it seemed like the doubters had a point. AJ looked careful, almost too controlled, as he worked to find his rhythm against a much smaller, more fidgety target. But Lewis saw through the surface, explaining this wasn't AJ looking rusty. This was pure strategy. He was dealing with someone who was basically playing hide and seek inside a boxing ring. Joshua spent those early moments clearing out the mental fog, using one of the biggest streaming stars in the world like he was just getting loose before the real work started.
It's my job. We fight. We're licensed to kill. I'm sure many people don't understand it, but this is what my job is. And I just enjoy what I do. Whatever happens, happens. As long as my hand's raised, that's what's important, right? Respectfully. That's just the mentality we have to have as fighters. I don't know if any other fighter thinks that way. Maybe they're a bit more tame, but the things I watch and the way my mind works, when you're in that ring, it's a dangerous place to be and anything can happen. And you hope your opponent leaves the ring safely, but if they don't, you know, you still have to go to bed at night knowing that you just done your job. It wasn't personal.
Jake Paul's game plan was obvious right from the first bell. Run the marathon method. He burned through the opening 3 rounds, literally jogging around the outside edges, trying to annoy Joshua and avoid getting caught by that devastating right cross. Lewis watched this unfold and knew that this type of constant movement drains your gas tank fast, especially when you're not accustomed to the brutal pace of heavyweight warfare. Jake was sticking his tongue out and mocking AJ after dodging punches, but he was secretly burning through his own stamina reserves. He was looking good visually in those early minutes by staying slippery, but the truth was, he was just running straight into his own downfall.
The game plan from both guys from round 1. Jake was very mobile. I mean, he had the happy feet going. He was circling around the outside of the ring. He was not looking to engage in elongated combinations. He was not looking to stand in the center of the ring with AJ, and people are going to say Jake ran from AJ, and you're right. Because guess why? He absolutely had to. Again, talked about this in the build-up to the fight. He had to be mobile. He had to be on his bike. So yes, you're justified in saying Jake ran from him because he had to. He had to. And anybody that convinced themselves that Jake was going to walk to the center of the ring, stand in the phone booth with AJ and trade punches until someone laid flat, you were lying to yourself, or you convinced yourself of something you saw in the promo. This was always going to be the way the fight went. I wasn't surprised at all that this is the way that Jake started and pretty much fought the entire time. I was a bit surprised that AJ didn't assert himself earlier. Now, again, it is very hard to hurt someone that doesn't want to engage in a continuous fight. Round one, very much a feeling out process for AJ. Didn't really look like he did much, but Jake didn't either. There was one right hand that AJ landed in the first round that shook Jake up. That's the danger that was coming for Jake the entirety of the fight.
When round 5 arrived, the problem child had nowhere left to run. Even the referee was getting frustrated, telling both men that nobody bought tickets to watch a marathon, pushing them to actually engage. That's exactly when heavyweight reality finally made contact. Lewis pointed out how Jake completely stopped his movement and just stood there like a sitting target. A crushing left hook made Jake's knees buckle in the 5th, and everything went downhill from there. Round 6 barely lasted 90 seconds before a thunderous straight right sent Jake crashing to the canvas for good. The trash talk ended, his tongue disappeared, and the official mercifully called it off.
In that 6th round, you saw AJ come alive. He saw a wounded animal and finally went in for the kill. And let me tell you something. Jake took some fucking hard KO punches in this fight. The first one in the first round, he got hit with a shovel hook from the left side. He got hit with an uppercut at one point. It's a heavyweight fight. I'm not going to congratulate Jake for, getting beat up, but I am going to congratulate his heart for being able to take those punches and not quit on himself, at least to the point of being like, I'm just going to stay on the ground here and call it an evening. He didn't do that. He got up multiple times. He got dropped multiple times. Again, kind of the clinch weird thing, but he would get hit with a punch and, look to clinch at AJ and just kind of fall by the wayside. That happened twice in the 5th round. And then in the 6th, the levee broke. He finally got Jake into the corner, threw a flurry, and then came across when AJ was like going around the side with the right hand and trying to chop over the top, and then, big looping shots that he was missing early on because Jake was moving his head and doing some good things defensively. Fair play to him. He was protecting himself very well early on. In the 6th round, his gas tank was done. The legs were not there. He had already been hurt a bunch from AJ, and AJ went to the body with the jab and chopped a right hand over, and it hit Jake, and he snapped his head, collapsed to the canvas. That's it, and that's all. It was so devastating that Jake turned around and looked into the crowd and went, oh fuck, that's the realization. That is reality.
The physical damage from that finishing shot was absolutely brutal. Jake tried putting on a brave face during his post-fight interview, but he kept spitting blood into a towel throughout the whole thing. Word came out later that he'd suffered a double jaw fracture, something he actually proved by sharing his medical scans on social media. The Florida Athletic Commission moved quickly, too, slapping him with an immediate 2-month medical suspension. Reports started flying that he was taken to the emergency room right after getting cleaned up, which just goes to show that while you might pretend to box, you can't fake your way through a heavyweight's power shots. This wasn't just a defeat. It was literal bone destruction.
Experience. And that's the problem with the direction he's been going in, is he puts on big fights, but not competitive fights. Fighting Chavez Jr., that was an easy win. Nate Diaz, an easy win. Mike Tyson, an easy win. Anthony Joshua, not competitive for the opposite reason. He's completely not expected to win, and it wasn't competitive. He stacks the chips too heavily either way, and because of that, we never actually get to find out how good Jake is. And part of that, I think, is maybe deliberate, because then we never know and the storyline can go anywhere. And while you don't know really how good he is, there's always another dream to sell, and it's almost genius level promoting. It really is. But for his own sake, you're getting into your late 20s now, your physical prime, you're only going to ever find out how good you really are by getting in there with people who are of the level that you claim you're at the right weight class. You are not a cruiserweight. You've got a layer of, body fat on you. You can't be doing that in boxing. If you're a serious boxer, you don't get in there looking like Jake Paul looks. You look shredded. And that's why really he's a light heavyweight. But like, fuck it. If you want to be cruiserweight, be a cruiserweight. Regardless, just fight people who are now like ranked, and let's find out where the fuck he is. Because surely, you know, these money grab Tyson fight, the AJ fight, he's packed that bank chock full. And credit to him. Even if he has hustled people or whatever the fuck, credit to him. One of the best promoters in boxing history, actually. I really do believe that. Because even when fights seem ridiculous, he always gets people to tune in. And he's done great things with Netflix. And hopefully that opens doors up for other boxers, and he's certainly opened a lot of doors up for female boxers. So again, credit to him for that. But let's find out how good you really are now. Because I just don't want any more gimmick fights. I just want the
Naturally, no massive fight happens without some serious financial carnage, and this time the Drake jinx hit like a freight train. The Canadian superstar allegedly dropped a jaw-dropping $200,000 on Jake Paul to score the miracle upset, which should have earned him more than $1.6 million. Instead, all that cash evaporated the instant Jake face-planted on the canvas. Social media went absolutely wild, with people claiming that Drake's support was the kiss of death before Jake even walked to the ring. It's turning into a legitimate phenomenon in sports circles. When Drake puts money on you, start planning your funeral.
That was, Jake Paul didn't get in there to win last night, he got in there to survive. And he didn't do a better job of surviving. He sold the fight brilliantly, that's what he is, he's a salesman. And he's a YouTuber, influencer, call him whatever you want. So from that perspective, he did his job, but he never got in there to win. He just got in there to got beat up. I'm glad Anthony Joshua done a number on him. This is why boxers are boxers, YouTubers, whatever they want to call themselves, influencers. You know, they should stay in their lane and fight people that they're supposed to fight on their level. This guy was never on Anthony Joshua's level, and Joshua did what he needed to do, did what he had to do for the sake of boxing, and blow this guy out and just knock him out.
What about the fact that Jake was able to land on him clean a couple of times? What did you make of that?
Well, listen, you can't get into the water without getting hit. Fortunately for Joshua, that guy can't break an egg, so he was never in any danger. You know, he's always going to get hit back. I mean, you know, it was 6 rounds. Anthony Joshua was always going to take at least 1 or 2 shots over that 6-round period, but it was nothing to hurt him, it was nothing to bother him. And like I say, this is all about getting AJ's confidence back. Okay. If Jake Paul fights, if he fights KSI or KFC or whatever his name is, then those two are those two are evenly matched, aren't they? They're evenly matched, and then they could fight, you know, and then because they're evenly matched, they're both YouTubers, aren't they? They should get that on. I'd probably stay up and watch that.
The most explosive revelation of the entire evening didn't even happen during the actual combat. While they were broadcasting live, Lennox Lewis and Eddie Hearn accidentally spilled some massive insider information that has every boxing fan losing their minds. Turns out this whole Jake Paul situation was just the final obstacle before the real mega money begins flowing. Lewis let it slip that the paperwork for a 2026 super fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury is already complete and signed. This entire Miami circus was just AJ's method of getting some actual ring time before squaring off with the Gypsy King for all the marbles. Jake was never the star of this story. He was just a practice dummy on the path to the biggest British showdown in boxing history.
And I've just been sent a video of Anthony Joshua talking about if he kills somebody, he kills somebody in a boxing ring. I think, you know what? He's a little bit long in the tooth to be talking shite like that. He's 37-year-old at the end of his career, fighting a YouTuber, a Disney Channel guy, who Tommy beat. And now he's talking about killing him and all that to try and sell. Please, barking up the wrong tree, idiot. Here's a fun fact. If I ever come across you, bum, I'm knocking you dead spark out. I ain't a YouTuber or a man half your size. I am him, the man. You're a classless loser coming off a 15 months knockout defeat to a local lad. Imagine if someone from Morecambe knocked me out. You big bum, useless tosser. Get up, and I can't wait if Jake Paul knocks your spark out, you big bum.
When you strip everything away, the Miami spectacle served as a brutal wake-up call for the entire influencer boxing phenomenon. Jake Paul showed he's got the courage to last 6 rounds with a monster, but he also demonstrated that there are skill levels in this sport that internet fame simply cannot overcome. Between the shattered jaw, the massive gambling losses, and the Fury fight bombshell, one thing became crystal clear. The days of playing dress-up as a boxer might be reaching their violent function.
Fury, listen, we'll see you in September. Is it realistic, you think? I mean, it's been like 7 years, right? We'll get it.
With the ring rust completely shaken off, the heavyweight landscape is now focused on a career-defining 2026 showdown. The real question that remains is whether Jake Paul can somehow bounce back from total annihilation like this.
TV, what did I just watch? All right? Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua is over. Thank God it's over. What a joke of a fight. I was hoping that I could at least give Jake credibility and saying, you know what, he took this challenge. You know, even if it's for a lot of money, he still had the guts to walk to the ring and all this stuff. I was hoping, you know, you're going to get knocked out anyway, dude. Like, I was hoping I could say, you know what, because he earned the respect of boxing fans by going out on his shield. Guy just ran for his life. I just watched Jake Paul run for his life for like 5-6 rounds. Literally just run for. He was doing football jukes. You guys watched that fight? Ring was big. I made a freaking point about that ring being big, and he used it to his advantage in terms of survival in every way he could. I mean, this guy literally never tried to win a second of the fight. He was trying to throw a home run punch every once in a while. And notice every time he got in the clinch, he just went down. Like he just hugged Anthony Joshua, and then like would go down, and the referee would call it a slip and give him a break. And like he would just kill time that way. Then he was completely angling off. He's completely blading his shoulder off completely to the point where he's so bladed off that he can't even punch. He was just trying to make himself as small of a target as possible. And Anthony Joshua, people are gonna say, oh, why didn't Anthony Joshua catch up to him? Because Anthony Joshua never had fast feet to begin with. And Anthony Joshua, honestly, should have probably cut off the ring a little bit better. That's my one critique of Joshua. He probably could have cut off the ring a little bit better. Joshua's always never really had the best feet, but in terms of cutting off the ring, could have at least done that. But honestly, what do you want the guy to do? I mean, this guy ran for his life in a 22 by 23 foot ring. That ring was huge. I can't believe what I just watched, guys. I'm seriously, like, dude, that's it. This was AJ's chance. Could have went out on his shield and his chance to say, yeah, get the respect of the boxing community. This was the one that could have got him the respect of the boxing community. This was the one. He came out with all this rap crap and doing the Hulkamania crap and all that other stuff and all that stuff. You know, and I'm thinking to myself, is he that calm, or is he literally just setting up his own demise? I don't know. AJ came out to the ring really serious, which would you expect? And then, I mean, he never fought. AJ. Jake never fought. Like, he never fought the whole fight.
We want to know what you think, though. Will Jake Paul step back into the boxing ring? Or has this beating he took crushed any dreams of a return? Drop your thoughts in the comments. That wraps up today's breakdown. If this content hit the mark for you, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell so you catch every single upload we drop. Make sure to leave your opinions in the comments section below. Keep watching, and we'll see you in the next one.